Hi, first graders. We're on Knowledge 4, Lesson 1, A Father and His Son in Mesopotamia. Our first vocabulary word is canals. Say canals. Canals are ditches that are dug into the land to move water from one place to another. Our next vocabulary word is reservoirs. Say reservoirs. A reservoir is a natural or man-made area similar to a lake where water is stored for future use. At the end of the read aloud, you will be able to name the two important rivers, explain the importance of the two rivers, explain why people dug canals, and describe the city of Babylon. And before we go any further, I wanted to show you a map to show you exactly where Mesopotamia once was. Have you ever heard of the continent of Asia before? So this is a picture of a part of the continent of Asia. On Asia, there is a specific area known as the Middle East. And today we have a country there known as Iraq, and that wasn't always there. Thousands of years ago, people lived in this land, but it was not called Iraq then. It was called Mesopotamia. So you can see on the map where we have these little dashed lines going all around the area. That's going to show you the areas that were once known as Mesopotamia. Also, these little dots right here are important because these were cities that were once in Mesopotamia. Today, Mesopotamia doesn't exist anymore, but again, the country Iraq is right there around where Mesopotamia used to be. Almost 4,000 years ago, a father and a son were walking together on the banks of a great river, close to what was possibly the biggest city in the world, Babylon. The banks are the sloping grounds on the side of the river. The father, whose name was Warad, said to his son, Eden, "See, my son, the great Euphrates River. If this river did not flow, there would be no wonderful city of Babylon. No palaces, no gardens, not even any houses." Eden said, "But I don't understand, father. Did all these things appear out of the water?" "No," his father laughed. "No one just floated the palaces down here or pulled them from the water. Let me explain, Eden." They sat down on a bench overlooking the wide river, which rolled before them, reflecting the palaces and religious temples that rose high on both banks of the river. The first people who lived along this river realized that the land surrounding the river had rich soil for planting crops, like wheat and barley for bread. These people settled or decided to live along the river because the land further away from the river was desert, and the desert was not very good for growing crops. So these people built their homes along the river so they could grow crops to feed themselves and their families. Now, let me ask you a question, Eden. Why do you think people built our city right here? Because of water? Yes, the river kept alive the plants that were grown for food. Now look around. And Warad waved his hand in a circle. Now we have our great and beautiful Babylon. Of course, the people that settled in Babylon weren't the only ones who had the good idea to settle along the river. Other people came and settled up and down the river, forming other towns and cities too. Soon people realized they could use the Euphrates for more than just growing food. What else do you think they discovered that they could use the river for? Warad asked his son. What do you think? Eden thought for a moment, then asked, to carry things from one city to another like we do today? Correct, his father bellowed. They traveled in boats up and down the river to trade with people from other cities. Trade means to exchange goods. The cities soon traded crops, material to make clothing, and other items that they needed. The Euphrates River is not the only river that is used this way. People also use the Tigris River to grow crops and to trade with other cities. It is hard to think of a time when people did not use the river for growing crops and for traveling as we do today, Eden said. Warad replied, "That it is. I have more to explain to you. You see, after a while, many people had made their homes along the Euphrates, and some had land further back from the river. Soon it was difficult for everyone to reach the water easily. People started wondering if there was a way to get the water from the river to the other parts of the city. Soon they discovered there was a way. What do you think that way was? Eden thought for a minute. Then he exclaimed, "The canals!" "Yes," his father continued. "They dug ditches cut into the earth, which we call canals. The water flowed out of the river and through the canals to the areas of the city further down from the river. Then farmers could grow crops even where the rivers didn't flow. Our great king Hammurabi did the same thing. He had canals dug to move water all over our country, from the two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. And King Hammurabi and his helpers used an ancient way to collect rainwater. When the winter rains come, the water doesn't just wash away downstream. They made the waters run into a reservoir so that after the rain stopped, there would be water for drinking and for watering crops. Once this is done, people could stay in one place near the river and make that place better and better until finally we had Babylon. Our King Hammurabi must be the best king of all, Dad." Ward agreed. "He is indeed a great king. And now I think it is time for us to head home, my son." The end. You may go ahead and click on the Google form about the questions from today's read aloud.